Cloudy over there, look. It'll rain tomorrow apparently. Where's the line? Blowing the rod tip a bit. So we got about a size, what have we got on there? It's got a size 6, I'd say. Come on, flatfish. Come on, flatfish. Oh well, we'll give it a little go, I'm sure. We'll give it a little go. Lugworm are tough. Tough looking. Anyway, we're fishing. Just chatting to a few anglers just as we're coming along. A few little bass, a few flatfish, and we're just then sort of saying the same thing that the big bass of a few weeks ago, they've just gone. They're there just for a very short spell. They just come through for a very short spell and then they're all gone. Where they're gone I don't know, but chap fishing for smooth hound further down the beach. He's using prawn or something, so if he gets them on them, I always wouldn't surprise me to get him on sort of a shrimp or something like that. But I've had him on straight lug, so it's pretty quiet at the minute. So we're just waiting just to get on this bit of sand here so I can cast, wade out a little bit further and get a bit more distance. I'm fishing a lot lighter rod today. Got this Any Fish Anywhere estuary rod. They're alright. I don't get too excited about them. That's nicely made, but I can tell you now what it is. That's just a carp rod. That's all it is. £3 test curve carp rod. So you can print what you like on it. You know, they're very nicely, nice whippings, nice reel seat, Fuji, all that, lovely. But what a rod will do the same thing. 3.25 test curve carp rod would do it. So yeah, we've just got a 3-ounce lead on there. No, 4. We're actually putting 4 on. It says it's only rated to 3-ounce, but I stick a 4 on it. That's working fine. But yeah, we've got the settings on this reel on number 3 there. Millionaire tournament. You just play around with it till you think what's right for you, and then you just sort of, with the conditions and the wind, and just, you know, you just sort of play around with it, really. But it's quite an interesting sort of spot, really. See, this sort of rod, it don't really suit 2 hooks. It just suits a hook and a bait, really. It's not like it's a real sort of 6 or 7 ounce lead where you can probably stick on 2 baits and it wouldn't make too much difference. So what I'm trying to say is I can only sort of fish one way or the other. I can't have a hook with a bit of fish on, and I you know, I can't have a bit of lugworm on both on the same rig. I'm just fishing straight lug at the minute, but for the flatfish, but turbot like a bit of fish, you see. So yeah, I suppose I could put a bit of fish on the bottom hook as well with a lugworm, but I sort of just like to sort of, people keep walking down here, bloody hell. I don't used to get anyone down here. Always people walking about down here now. I used to be the only person down here years ago. I used to feel like that anyway. But yeah, it's quite a good spot this, because you can see the revetment there. Well, sorry, the groins. You can see they're all busted away there. and this side as well. So it's like an open, bit of an open beach really. Same that sector over there. So it's just good beach. So, well, it's been pretty quiet the top half of the ebb. I'm hoping that's going to improve. Always a sort of real waste of bait, but there you are, that's fishing for you. Go on these, just go just to see what's happening, and you know, there ain't a lot happening, I don't think. There ain't a lot happening. Right, let's get another bait out there. Look at this. That's a plump one. Look at that. That's a nice one. Cool, wolf that down. Right, let's try and get the hook out. There we go. Result. So, should see a bite from this angle. Just that 3 lug. It's a nice flounder, that. There's only a few bangs, but in that space of time, that was right down the back of his throat. You don't mess about. It doesn't take many minutes. So that's taken, I don't know what the time is. You can find out. I can find out. On that rod tip. It's definitely 9. I'd say we're halfway down on the end for the first bite. It just goes to show you it's not worth getting here too early. You know, if you turned up like nowish, you know, you don't always know what it's going to do. That's more like that on a crapper tide. You know, there's not so much tide. I would advise getting down, just focusing on the peak bit of tide. If you're on a really good tide, like there's plenty of strength in the tide, then I'd be saying you're okay to fish all the way down. Turn up like that. You could look at it from that point of view, from like a bait management sort of point of view. But if you really aren't bothered and you're just turning up, get your spot on a Friday night or whatever, then you just fish it. But yeah, quite a thick set fish as well. He wasn't long. He was quite medium sized, but he was very thick set. Had a really good one up at Salthouse 2 weeks ago. Bad place here as well. Just one. Bad place. And turbot. But for the turbot, I might wait for right at the bottom of the tide. I've got some herring there. I might just have a little go for them when I've gone out my lug. I might just put a fillet of herring on. Might put a 4-0 hook on and just have it out sitting there just for half an hour. Just to see if there's something. You can fish for it now really, but I've just got this one roll. See that? What's going on here? Chunk you see with an estuary rod. Crosswind. That's the one line. Yeah, it's very finicky. It's like sometimes you come down here and it's like they'll be, once they're on the feed, there's a definite sign that they're there. But that was a completely different cast. That was I weighed it out quite a way, and that was probably one of the best casts of the session. And I looked at it and I thought, cool, yeah, that is a long way out. and this one's done the same thing, so we put it in the same spot. If you're fishing an incoming tide, I think you're okay just to drop it in short, just in sort of 20-30 yards. But if you're ebbing, I'd say 20-30 yards is not the game plan. If you've got 2 rods, you could experiment with that, but for me, that's if it's ebbing, just whack it as far as you can each time. Each venue is completely different, but I'm trying to think how many minutes that took for him to find that. I'd say maybe 5. Weren't long. It's always the same. Your bait's like to find it. It's good. Not free for that. The good thing about certain beaches without a lot of angling pressure, or beaches which are quite a long way away from a port or any boat ramps and things like that. Here, is that one there? Have I just missed? Yep, look at that there. Would you Adam and Eve it? Look at that. Bastard. Another flounder. Let's get another bait on. Yeah, I couldn't really tell that take from a flounder to obviously it was a small bass, so I couldn't really differentiate between the flounder take and that, really, to be quite honest. And that was at range, that little bass. So you just goes to show you, you never know. You just never know. Just debating what's sort of going to happen when I run out of lug. I've got this herring, so I've got some 4-0 hooks. And I might sort of cut on a strip of herring just to see if there's something different out there. Just have it out there for half an hour, just try my luck. I think we'll just persevere with the lug, see if we can get some more flats. Yeah. That flounder, that was quite chunky actually. I could have probably kept that, but it would have been quite nice under the grill. Hey ho, he's been put back. He was a little on the sort of the short side, so let him go for another day. Lovely now. Wind's eased off. It'll be raining tomorrow apparently. Raining tomorrow. Lovely bit of beach this. It really is. It's gone very clear indeed. Very clear. You could lure fish, but it's not got a lot of close-in features for bass, unless you just focused around the groins. Tried your luck, just kept casting near those. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting. It would. It's quite a long way out. I mean, we nearly got to the backing on. We nearly got to the backing on there. I waded out a bit as well. The wind is coming to the side. It's coming at an angle here. So yeah, quite interesting really. Nothing else has grabbed it. At the bottom of the tide, we've had a few fish, so here you are. I'd like to move up tight to the groins there and just fish sort of closer to those, but I've done that before over the years, and it usually ends up with a bloody cast going in there, and you lose the bloody gear. That's the only thing. I do say it might hold a few fish, but yeah, it's in the middle really. Yeah, there's a lunge. Very slight lunge. What else could it have been? Could have been a bit of weed banging at the line. It's not sort of a progressive sort of like the flounder bite was. That was, you know, really sort of kicking. That little bass, that was a lot more delicate, a lot more subtle. The flounder, that really do sort of tell you they're there, you know. Beautiful. One of the best. Cast lovely. Also retrieve as well with it. Don't you can see it though. Lovely lure to use. Don't need to be too far out. Steady retrieve. and just sort of like jig with it as well. Right, we are at Waybourne today. Sorry about wind in the mic, so I'll keep it brief. Mega bass, zonk, 120, 21 gram. So we're gonna try this. Sorry about the wind in the mic, but good chance if I've got a cap on, good chance that'll probably go in the drink. But just give it a go. Incoming tide. 2 hours before high. Might put the cap on, lose it. Not actually fished this lure that much, but I'm just gonna give it a go. Survived. It looks lure fishable. I haven't actually seen the lure yet. It sort of stays down a bit, but we'll just persevere with it. It's a very good lure, the zonk, so I'm told. The cast's lovely. Coming to a bit depth there. I'm not sure how deep it dives to. But if there's any bass there, they'll nail it. No question about that. Just cast and move, really. Mainly do it because of the wind. I would sort of do a clockwise casting pattern with this kind of lure, but because the wind is over my shoulder as I'm standing, so to speak, it's having it sideways on. I'm trying to think what the wind direction the tide is going. So the tide is, so it's flooding, so it's coming. Let's just finish this cast. Tide's, I'm actually this way, the tide's flooding this way. So cast that sort of an angle, then that's probably getting the best action out of the lure in this sort of sector out in front, this sort of 1 or 2 o'clock position sort of. It's not clear, but that's not too bad either. I'm used to sort of seeing the lure a little bit easier, but I find with the high water and poppers, that ain't my go-to for some reason. Here, don't know why. There's a bit of depth there. I like something that gets down a little bit deeper, like a metal Ticer or a Savage Gear Seeker 30 grams, which I've got in my bag. I just want to try this lure. Brought it about a year and a half ago, but just not used it. I mean, I sort of said to myself I'd only use it at high water because at low water it gets snagged up, you see. So we're high water fishing today. Well, at the minute we are anyway. So look how far it go, look. So it's got a good rattle on it as well, this lure. that is windy. That is windy. Can't see the lure out there, but I know it's okay. Save some battery. So we're just getting used to the lure. I don't fish with it usually, but it's actually got quite a lot of power, even casting in the wind. So I've now gone back, instead of just casting out in front, I've now gone back to my clockwise sort of pattern. I've done a couple out, one at an angle, one at sort of about 10, one at about sort of 11, done one at 12. This is my sort of 1 or 2 o'clock one. Just got one more to do. One more to do there, which is literally like this sort of angle. So this one's actually going to go against the current because the flood's going this way. I've always found with bass, whatever lure fishing, whatever the tide is doing, the fish seem to take best when the lure is at a slight angle against the you know, when you wind, you've got a slightly more resistance. As if you're casting with the current, the lure's not working so much. So I always find fish flooding this. The best angle to keep casting is this angle, I find, and the opposite on the end, coming the other way. So I find like this sort of 1 or 2 o'clock angle, it's fighting the current as well, so you get more wiggly action. I find that's the best. It's incoming tide, so getting clear all the time. It's nice. Just bumps into the sand a little bit, so I lift the rod tip just close in here. That's what we can do. I mean, I find, yes, you can fish in not a clockwise pattern, but I find just walking a few steps and just casting at that angle, for me, is when it's worked for me the best. Definitely. Just a steady retrieve with this lure. I do lift it up a little bit as we come in because it's got, as you can see, it's got a bit of a dish on it. I'm not actually too sure how deep it dives. I'm guessing about a metre. I'm guessing about a metre, which is ideal really. Got these Savage Gear seeker lures. Now they are really good. They're a lot cheaper, but I think they're the best of the lot. When you pause the retrieve and you get it to sink back down at the bottom. I've not fished here for a long time, so I don't really know what it's like at low tide. They'll tell me what seabed's doing. Sometimes you get a lot of sand build up, sometimes there's no sand at all, it's all rock. So you get a mixture of sand and rock, and the bass are going to be looking for sand eel and things like that in the sand. It's a lovely looking lure, this, it really is. It really is. Nice eye on it, look. And it's not a fake one either, it's an original. Just a steady retrieve. Yeah, I've fished along here. And I fished here, and I find it, well, I've only ever had like one fish or two bites in a session, and the bites come literally, they're right alongside each other within a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, and that's it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like there's a hell of a lot of fish about. You you know, you can't go wrong. But more often than not, on this, if you're just going on these sort of what I call non-bass tides, you're hunting about really just for one fish, one take. So it could be a solitary fish, be quite a good one. So the debate is now, how long do we stick with this lure until we go back on the Savage gear? I've got an Abu Toby as well. That's a good lure. See the rod tip banging away there. Look at that vibration there. Lovely. We'll just stick with it. There's a bit more of a swell on these stones. They really make a lot of noise. I sometimes bring earplugs with me, just so I not get deafened by it, you know. You can hear yourself think. It can be quite off-putting sometimes. Nothing there. You never know with this kind of fishing. You just sort of, you just in a routine. You just sort of, you know. We've not got here too early either. We've sort of we've got here at a time when I think, you know, within a couple of hours, if you're going to get one, you'll get one within a couple of hours. You know what I mean? It's like, so we're sort of in the. It's easy to sort of be fishing for half an hour, not have any takes, and just sort of lose a little bit of interest, and then you sort of. I try and sort of get myself going again by sort of thinking, well, that could happen any time now. Just one bass coming past. Yeah, it's nice to have a food selection, so we'll just try one this sort of an angle. See, this one's going to have the current with it a little bit. Yeah, so it's a bit of a smoother retrieve. As we're getting to the top of the tide, and obviously it eases off, so you've got less resistance that way. I find it's worth fishing for half an hour once the tide has turned and gone the other way. So if you're high water, that's worth hanging on, persevering through slack water, just waiting for that, when that tide turns and starts going the other way. I'm a great believer, if you've had enough and you want to get going and that, I always find that's worth hanging on for that bit of, just that tide change going the other way. Sometimes get a take then. Not too much after that though, I'll be brutally honest. But you can waste a lot of time in the middle of a tide. For me, fishing baits and that, and yeah, I'm sort of telling you times when I generally get the fish, really. Nice bit of swash there now. Go on the sand eel for some reason, because this is an actual fish, isn't it? That's where the Savage gear, that's an actual sand eel. Although, you know, if they're there, they will take it. But I just fancy just changing it over. cannot explain how good a lure this actually is. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes going, savage gear seeker, savage gear seeker. You know, it really is, for the cost. Whether they just got lucky designing it or what, I don't know, but that is one of a kind. When I've got this on, this part of the coast anyway, this completely changes my confidence levels. It really does. Right, let me check the hooks. And these hooks as well are very important. They I've been caught out before using different hooks and lost good fish on it because of that reason, or the hook, you know, not a good hook hold. But I find those hooks are really good. Fine wire BMC hooks. They do get blunt though from time to time, so I just have to do that. Feels like it's a new one, that does. This lure, I'm not fussed. That's what he said, didn't he? Right. So 55 minutes until high. I find with this lure just a pause. So you can see that goal there, you can see it, you see. I just find if you stop retrieving, it's the best way. It just sort of flutters then, it's sort of just sort of like it's on the edge of this mucky water here is a good spot. Anywhere sort of not too far out, I don't think. I'll let it sink a little bit. It's snaggy out there, don't really want to lose it. Steady retrieve and then do a just pause. You can give it a few little twitches and things that don't hurt, but mainly it's just a straight retrieve. But it's that sort of pause, when you pause it and it sort of just like flutters back a little bit. Question. Perseverance. Blanked quite a few times along here really when I look back. And I've probably had, how many fish have I had off? I only have had about 4 fish off here. 4 fish to sort of probably 20 trips, something like that. Maybe exaggerate, maybe 15, quarter for every 5 fish, 15 trips, something like that. So I don't know, it might not be as bad as that. Might be sort of half and half for every 5 fish, 5 trips, something like that, I don't know. I find the bottom of the tide more productive, I'm brutally honest. But if you're chasing a bit of water clarity, it's usually a bit clearer on the top of the tide here. But if you're going to get one, that'll be tight into this bank. That'll be really tight in. They seem to like it when there's plenty of water there, and they sort of hang out at the bottom of the shingle. Really close in, just waiting to ambush a sand eel or something. You can't rule out a sort of a cast at an angle like this sort of thing. Something like this. You get the feet wet. Oh, a little line thing there. It's just whether they're sort of coming past at that given time, or whether there's a few of them. Some little fish there. That's a good sign. As we're moving around to this corner, there's some little fish tight in the bottom there, which is a good sign. They jumped out of the water. The little things like that, when I see something like that, for me that equals it could get a take. It's not a guarantee, but it just sort of says that if the food is there, then they'll be there. Not a fast retrieve, just a sort of a... There's one occasion where I was doing this with the Savage Gear Seeker. This bass, that almost come out on the shingle, chasing after it. It's only a little fish. But he almost sort of, you know, he was after it, and he nearly put himself on at the shingle to get it. So I think there's a fair bit of sand down there. That's what I think. Need a bit of luck. Like I say, it's not a given, but maintain doing the basic swirl. Yeah, it's nice to travel. I mean, I'm very lucky. There's some good fishing here. But that's nice to go somewhere different and do it. Somewhere completely different, like South Coast or Wales, or... Yeah, he's just dived in there, so there's food there. So... Yeah, it's nice, always nice just to sort of try your technique somewhere away from where you usually fish. Kimmeridge is a place. There's a place called Kimmeridge. They do lure fishing there. A little bit, made it life a little bit easier. A bit of browny tinge close in, but I'm not concerned because I can see the lure quite clearly close in. So It's whether they're there or not. That's the thing. I'm not whacking it. I could whack it twice as far as that if I wanted to, but I don't. Most fish are they're in the mean close. We'll go on the baits a bit later.